All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, March 9th. We've got a 7-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, when we go through each and every one of these games, I'm going to give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself, those plays will be listed in the pinned comment if you do want to fade me and do the opposite, of course. So keep an eye on that pinned comment. Last night, definitely not a fadeable night as we go 3-1. Two of those wins were half unit plays. I really loved the Bridges play. So I got a little scared and put a half unit on instead of a full unit, but the Hawks money line, Bridges, and Jaren Jackson Jr. all cash there. Our sole loss was the Buddy Hield over 3.5 assists, but we will take a 3-1 night. Nothing to complain about there. I think that's a 2-1 night and a 3-1 night in a row. We're just teetering around a sweep here, but we'll get one soon enough here. But yeah, 3-1 night, guys. The unfortunate news is the ride of the day. Gotta drop the womp womp for Caleb here. I like this parlay, a plus money parlay. Kyle Kuzma, 20 plus points. In fact, I saw a lot of social media being like, Kyle Kuzma, ew, that type of thing. Kyle Kuzma cashes. Chet Holmgren, the alternate line of 13.5 points. Single digits. What do you have, 7 points or something like that? Like Chet Holmgren didn't even get to half this number. So I like the look from Caleb, but what a stinker out of Chet Holmgren, excuse me. He was 3 of 9 from the field for 7 points, 1 of 4 from 3, excuse me. So Chet Holmgren does not get the job done, and the ride of the day comes to a loss there. Guys, if you don't know what the ride of the day is, all you got to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments. I'm jumping on board with one person's pick and giving you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Also shouting you out over on my Twitter as well as my Instagram. Both of those will be kind of, popping up throughout the show here. Make sure you guys follow me there. There's a lot more content that you don't see on YouTube on those platforms. So go ahead and check out my Instagram as well, Twitter and TikTok. But let's go ahead and jump into today's slate, guys. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. We're looking at the Clippers taking on the Bulls here. Right now, Clippers 7-point favorites, total at 220. I do think the Clippers are the much better team, but they've really struggled against the spread. They have not covered in 7 of their last 10 games here, winning the game, but losing against the spread on the hook against Houston a couple nights back. But the Clippers are at home after a long road trip. I'm going to trust them in this spot. Give me the Clippers minus the 7 points because you have a team like the Bulls who's been playing really, really well, and I get it. But this is the last game of their road trip, so maybe they could be a little like, oh, let's just get through it, right? Kind of sleepwalk through this one. They've been playing well, and the Clippers, obviously, they're a good basketball team. They just haven't been playing all that well. This seems like it could be a good spot for them to catch the Bulls. So give me them minus the 7 points. In terms of the total, I don't mind the over, even though I think these teams obviously play with a slow pace. Like the transition defense is terrible for both of them. So if these teams decide to at any point run, we could easily see, a 220 plus game. So I'll lean towards the over in this spot as well. In terms of a player prop, let's throw it over to the outlier screen here, guys. If you don't want to keep, spending all this time going to multiple sites, finding player props and whatnot, check out Outlier. We have a link in the pinned comment. 7 days free. It's an absolute game changer of a tool. Again, 7 days free with the link in the pinned comment. But this is Outlier, and I like DeMar DeRozan here. Over 33.5 PRA as one play. I also don't mind his over points plus assists, but I really do like the plus money here at plus 100. You can get that over on DraftKings. You can see other sportsbooks close to that line, but in the minus odds there. He's hit this in 4 of his last 5, in 6 of his last 10. My concern here is the matchup against the Clippers. Now, he hasn't played them this season. Last year, about a year ago, he did finish with 33 over, 33 minutes. And as of late, if we want to look at the minutes played, like, he's literally playing it seems like every minute of the game. 39 minutes this dude is playing per game here. If we go, okay, so, wow, bummer, right? On the season, he's only hit this in 39% of games. Well, you know what? If we look at games in which he's played 40-plus minutes, it turns to 61. If we look at games he played 41 minutes, 70%. Obviously, the more minutes he plays, the better it looks, and he's been playing a you-know-what ton of minutes as of late. So I don't mind looking at DeMar DeRozan. Also looking at the defensive weakness here of the Clippers, really allowing plenty of mid-range makes, 47.3% field goal percentage against at the mid-range. DeMar DeRozan lives in the mid-range. I do like this spot for him today. So I like that. Again, I'm kind of swayed and loving the odds of plus 100. If this was like a minus 115 play, that much of a difference, I might not like it. But over 33.5 PRA for DeMar DeRozan has a chance to be a final play. Keep an eye on the pinned comment. And again, guys, we'll flash up Outlier plenty of times during this show. make sure you guys go check it out. 7 days free. I don't know if the guy's outlier like me saying, just go try it for 7 days free, because, you know, you probably think you're going to sleazeball your way through it. Like, I'll try it for 7 days. No, you'll get hooked. But go ahead and check it out, guys. After that, it's only $19.99 a month, which is very manageable for the tool that you're getting. It's crazy. All right, next up, we have Charlotte taking on Brooklyn. Charlotte on a back-to-back here. Obviously, they're like a beaten and bruised and young team. Like, I don't know how much the back-to-back necessarily matters for them, I guess, in no-rest situations this season. However, excuse me, they are, you know, looking at a not the best, I guess, record overall, but in no-rest situations, they're actually doing fine. Like 66% or 64% of their games this season they've covered in no-rest situations. So there's like one shiny spot of this entire Charlotte season, and it's on back-to-backs here. This is a Brooklyn team that has played well when they have a rest advantage over their opponent. But again, this Brooklyn team, like, playing well shouldn't even be uttered in the same sentence, right? I'm not saying Charlotte's great, but you're going to give me 6.5 points. I don't care what the NBA team is playing against Brooklyn. I'm probably going to take that as of right now. So give me Charlotte here plus the 6.5 points. Total sitting at 208. I'm going to lean towards the over because it's such a low number, and we really haven't seen the Brooklyn defense click, nor has the Charlotte defense clicked. Yesterday's game I would have thought was a little bit more high scoring with Washington, so maybe there's some buckets in the tank still. Not necessarily sure there. I doubt the total becomes a final play, but as crazy as it is, sound on the psycho alert alarm. I don't know if it's warranted or not. We could be betting Charlotte plus the 6.5 points tonight. In terms of injuries here, Trey Mann is a game time decision, as is Cam Thomas. He's a game time decision on the Brooklyn side of things as well. All right, in terms of player props in this spot, I liked Miles Bridges yesterday. Like, there's nothing telling me that, you know, he couldn't eat again, but probably nothing jumping off the page to me in this game, as you know, as I love to say. Real quick, guys, with the first game we talked about, the Clippers versus the Bulls, now as we're recording, just popping up on the injury report, James Harden, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard all listed as game time decisions. So obviously take that into account before, you know, placing a bet or riding with Clippers minus the points, because their three best players are listed as questionable now. We just saw that, so obviously I wanted to cut in here and let you know, because that's obviously a huge deal. If not only, you know, one of them doesn't play, but if all three of them are questionables, yeah, you want to keep an eye on that. All right, next up, we have Detroit taking on the Mavericks here. Mavericks laying 7.5 points on the road. Total sitting at 234.5. Kind of funny there. It's 2, 3, 4, 5 if you look at it in, you know, numbers order, I guess. But nonetheless here, guys, in terms of, I'll start with the total. I do like the over here. I think that this is the type of game that Dallas has been waiting for to explode offensively. So maybe we even consider their team total over in this spot. Now, Luka's on the injury report. The dude's always on the injury report. So assuming he plays, I do like Dallas minus the points and the over. No player props really that I'm loving in this spot, because I do think that this could have a blowout type of game, you know, in store for us here. Yes, it's only a 7.5 point spread, but this Dallas team's not playing the worst basketball. Like, they kind of went on a bad streak there, losing to Boston, Philly, and then I forget the other team that they Indiana or something like that they played and got beat by. But they aren't playing, like, some of the wins that they have are fairly impressive. You know, that big win over Phoenix, they beat, you know, Miami. Like, this is a Dallas team that's just teetering on the edge of taking a little bit of a step forward, right? And playing Detroit here, I do think that this could be a good spot. Now, you'll want to keep in mind that this is a Dallas team that is on the road. That's not always a, you know, a true recipe for their success. But they've covered on the road this season, even though I wouldn't necessarily say that they've been the best road team. On the road this year, they're 18-11, so okay, that's pretty good. When it comes to, 16-13, but on the road, they're 18-11. So, you know, they're kind of like 500-ish win-loss, but they do cover on the road, and I expect them to be able to have a big kind of scoring output tonight, which I don't think Detroit necessarily keeps up with there. In terms of player props in this spot, like I said, it's blowout potential, kind of keeps me off of anything, you know, Dallas side of things, and then even on the Pistons side of things, like, I don't find any matchups that I really like. So this is probably a game in which we pass when it comes to player props as well. All right, Phoenix taking on the Celtics here. Phoenix at home getting 6 points. Total sitting at 226. Injuries in this one. You're going to keep an eye on the injury report. Definitely for the Celtics side of things. Game time decision for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So obviously before making plays on that, you're going to keep an eye on that. And in terms of Phoenix's side of things, Devin Booker, who's been out, is also a game time decision. He is questionable in this spot. So obviously some major injuries to consider when looking at this game. But let's assume that everyone's healthy for the Celtics and even that Devin Booker plays for the Suns. I like the Celtics minus the 6 points. Now, am I a biased Celtics fan? I'd like to think not, but probably. But I also love the Celtics in a spot coming out of two kind of gut-wrenching losses. Like that Cleveland loss was a heartbreaker. Denver, like Jason Tatum barely didn't even show up, right? Like he's out there running, doing cardio. Like I just like the spot for them to be able to bounce back here. And this is a Phoenix team coming off of a couple nice wins. They beat Denver kind of surprisingly. And then they, I want to say pummel, but not really, beat Toronto. I think it was like 123 to 113 or something like that, right? So this is a Phoenix team coming off two straight losses. They're probably feeling pretty damn good, but I just think the Celtics here are sitting there going, okay, you know what? Like, we are almost desperate for a win. They're on that win streak, and now they've lost two straight games. They also play in Boston. I think it's either 2 or 3 games from now. So maybe, I guess if you want to make an argument for the Suns, it's like, okay, I can see both teams winning at home during these 2 games, right? But I'll take the Celtics here minus the 6 points. I think they come out with some vengeance. They should, at least. In terms of the total, 226.5. I've been impressed, I guess, by the Celtics defense for starters. Obviously, even though they've dropped 2 straight games, like, let's not let 2 straight games just tear down the 11-game win streak they had prior to, and the defense is a major part of that. And I don't think Phoenix's offense is like totally clicking as of right now, so I'm probably going to lean towards taking the under as well, because I think that the defense kind of shores up here. A player prop that I'm not minding, and it is kind of a I guess a wild one here. We can jump into outlier. Kristaps Porzingis over 1.5 assists. He's hit this in 3 straight games, 2, 3, and 2 for his assists. And the Suns here allowing the 10th most assists to the opposing center position. I don't mind that spot. Kristaps has been getting a plenty of minutes here. And though this has been a stat that, he hasn't hit the majority of his last 10, on the season, he's hit it in 26 of 46 games, 59%. So all we're asking for is 2 here. So I could see this, coming through and hitting for us. So I'll lean towards him over 1.5 assists. If it was like 2.5, I wouldn't consider it, but 2 assists, come on, Kristaps. Next up, we have the Warriors taking on the Spurs, but are they the Warriors? Steph Curry is out here. I'm not exactly sure how long he'll be out for with. I think it was the ankle injury, which go figure, Steph Curry hurting his ankle. But no Steph Curry in this spot, so that's unfortunate, obviously, for the Warriors. So 10 points seems like it's a little bit too much. Now, on the flip side, Victor Wembanyama also out with an ankle injury here, too. He didn't play in the last game, so this is probably a game in which I just don't touch the spread. And in fact, I don't really know the pace of the game without the 2 best players on the floor being out there either. What I do like is taking a peek at a guy that has just cashed us multiple times here, Brandon Przemski, excuse me. Without Steph Curry this season, he's cashed his over in points in 3 separate games. 11.5 is where we're sitting right now. In terms of odds, you're looking at minus 120-ish. I also don't mind continuing to look at his assist line. It did get bumped to 4.5, but we're looking at plus money now. In fact, I also wouldn't hate his over 16.5 points plus assists. Again, it doesn't look all that great, right? But we have to filter without Steph Curry. And he finished on the hook there in 1 game and crushed it in 2 others here. In terms of his recent history against this team as well, he hasn't looked all that great. But again, this is all predicated by the fact that we have Steph Curry out, right? Like, look at him on the season, 11.5 points, only 33% of games. Okay, that sucks, right? Steph Curry out, bumps it to 100% hit rate, and he's crushed it in 2 of the 3. So I like that spot for him. Are the field goal attempts going to be there? I hope so. He's averaged 13 attempts per game without Steph Curry. We take that away, he's averaging 8 attempts, so like he's almost doubling his shot amount. So I like the spot for him. Whether we play him points plus assists or just points straight up, keep an eye on the pinned comment, but I definitely could see some Brandon Przemski action in our final plays tonight for sure. All right, next up, we got the Nuggets taking on the Jazz. I would like to sit here and be like, oh, this is too many points to give a Jazz team, but like, why would that be the case? This is a Jazz team that struggled on the road. Denver has really been good at home this season, so everything kind of points towards Denver. I don't think that I make that a final play because of how big that number is, 12.5. I don't mind taking a peek at the over, though. I think a lot of people are going to think that Denver controls the pace here, but if there's one thing we can give the Jazz credit for, it is the fact that they can push the pace, even if they're losing a game. So I like the over in this spot. In terms of injuries, obviously Utah is still struggling. George is questionable in this spot, so is Porter, but you have Walker Kessler, I believe, is potentially available too, so he's questionable, but you have Larry Markin, who's been out now, and that's a massive blow here. Jokic is on the injury report, but he's listed as probable, so when I'm giving these thoughts, I assume he plays in this spot. If he doesn't, then yeah, go figure. We probably actually either pass on this one or hop over to the Jazz side of things. But as of right now, with the injury news that we have, no Larry Markin, and assuming Jokic plays, Nuggets minus the 12.5. I like the over in this spot because, again, I think Utah pushed the pace. And then in terms of player props in this spot, I feel like it's silly to not at least consider John Collins. Like, constantly right now. His line is getting nuked, right? His points line up at 17.5. Okay, that's still manageable. His rebound line at 10.5 now, but it's even odds plus 100 right now if you go grab that over on DraftKings or bet MGM. So that's like a good spot. John Collins has been getting so many rebound chances, and he's just been grabbing so many rebounds. In his last 10 games here, he's averaging 19 rebound chances. And I know Jokic is a great rebounder and all that, but like John Collins is a shifty big right now, and he's just playing out of his mind. So I could consider some John Collins overs, but like I said, the one thing that probably keeps me off of it is how much he's been covering and cashing. It's like his line is just going even his PRA line at 28.5 now just seems kind of high, but worth considering, to be completely honest. And I also don't mind him if you throw him into some sort of a parlay or something for making a 3. Now, the odds itself are way too juiced, but he's been hitting threes. He's hitting 7 of his last 10 in 4 straight games. He's hit 6 threes in his last 4 games. So it's like he's shooting, he's chucking them. And you look at the centers against Dallas here, plenty of centers against Denver, plenty of centers making threes. So I could consider him, but again, it's not a single play. It would have to be in some sort of a parlay or throw-in or something like that. All right, last game here, Portland taking on Toronto. I swear the way the NBA works sometimes is like they just save the worst game for last, which is unfortunate here because this is probably, out of all the games, like I care about the Brooklyn and Charlotte game more than I do this game here, which is just, think about that sentence. So many injuries on both sides for these teams, but Portland only 3 points. Like that's just not enough to give a Portland team in my opinion. So even with no Barnes and Pirtle, I'm going to like Toronto in this spot. Coming off of, I think they've lost like 5 or 4 of the last 5. Portland playing yesterday, getting beat by Houston. Like this Portland team struggling, and 3 points just doesn't seem like it's all that much. So I'll take Toronto in this spot. Total sitting at 227. I mean, I don't trust Portland's offense whatsoever, but I'm hoping Toronto can kind of push the pace here. So I'll lean towards the over. I think this one maybe gets to 230. So very close margin to that total that we have set. In terms of player props, I hate to close it out like this, but nothing really jumps off the page to me in this one. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you made it this far into the video, make sure you comment 17. Let me know that you made it this far and that, you know what? You're not a guppy. You're not a damn guppy because you made it this far. The guppies are always like, why are you commenting 17? What's 17 mean? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, if you know, you know. So go ahead, comment 17. We hit 60,000 subscribers yesterday. Can't thank you guys enough. Seriously, cannot thank you guys enough. Probably should have mentioned that at the beginning of the video, but I didn't want to get all sappy and so thankful to start the show. You guys have changed my life and changed the channel's course and everything like that. Like, I cannot thank you guys enough for all of the support as of late. We're just a dummy with a camera and a microphone showing up every day, which is obviously huge, but you guys make this thing happen. You're really the cog that makes this thing turn. So appreciate the hell out of you guys tuning in every single day. And yeah. That's all I got to say, all right? Don't want to go on a rant here. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.